Hi everybody, my name is Anne. I'm a founder of Coaching Coins. My life philosophy is to do what you love what you do, and pay it forward. Hence, I'm here today to share my 2 cents in life with you and to inspire you to unleash your potential and pursue your passion. If you like what you hear today, please share with your colleagues and subscribe to my channel. Let's get started. Today's topic is about should you pursue a pharmacy residency or not. And today's I want to pick 4 topics I want to talk about, and then it's up to you to decide. I think the number 1 is decide on your career goals. Residency is not for everybody, and not everyone has to do a residency. As you know from the statistic from ASHP, there are not enough hospital sites or sites in general, residency sites in general, for all the candidates that are graduating this year. And really important for you to consider, what do you want to do when you finish pharmacy school? If your goal is to be a specialized critical care pharmacist, then doing a residency is very beneficial because first you get the training on your PGY 1 year, and then as you pursue your PGY 2, you have even more specialized skills as well as networking with those individuals. And however, if you're thinking of pursuing a community jobs, you may not need a residency. There are nowadays community residency, which will help you to get to a management level faster. But if you mainly just want to either open your independent pharmacy or go to nuclear medicine or really just pursue a regular community pharmacy job, then you may not need to pursue a residency. So number 1, think about career goals. If you want to work in the hospital, and it's really hard, even as staffing nowadays, depending where you live. For example, I'm in Houston, Texas, and some facilities are still hiring people without residency, but there's some medical centers or hospitals that actually now is recommended to have a PGY 1 to work as an operational pharmacist. There are some hospitals that have a hybrid role of doing both order verifications and the clinical component. So oftentimes as a manager or as a director, if you're fresh out of school, you're not going to be as qualified compared to those who has a PGY 1 at least. Of course, if it's a clinical pharmacist or that requires more advanced clinical skills, then you may need at least a PGY 1 or a PGY 2, and it really depends on the locations. If you're a community hospital, I think sometimes it's okay to have a PGY 1 and people are taking the residency as a 3-year of experience, and you can work and increase your knowledge that way. If you are in a robust medical center, highly academic center, they usually prefer PGY 2 in a specialized area. So think about your career goals and what you want to get out of it at the end of the residency. I would not pursue a residency if you think, oh, that's what everybody's doing, so I should do one too. Because residency is it's 1 year for PGY 1, and it is a really hard year, so I want really to consider the amount of time that you're able to put into it. So that leads me to the second point, is think about the time commitment that you have. Overall, PGY 1 and depend on various sites, the time commitment can vary, but with the first year of residency, how I put it is rotation on steroids. You will have a preceptor there to hold your hand and help you and guide you, but compared to a student, you are basically a practitioner, and they will help you to become even more independent practitioner. There are projects, there are research, there are patient care. So there are a lot of things that you have to take into account and be able to be great at managing your time and time management overall, and organizing your priorities. So it's not a walk in the park type of environment. You just have to be really dedicated. There might be days that you're feeling self-doubt, like I'm not sure if this thing is right for me. But once you get into your residency and you have your co-residents to get you through it, But think about the time commitment that you have. If you have a family, If you have kids, which you can still do, but it'll just be even more challenging because you have to manage work-life integration. I have friends who have kids in residency and they are able to excel and they're stellar. So it's all about you and what type of time commitment you're able to do. There are even some programs out there, depend how rigorous you want. There are PGY1, PGY2 combined. Most of them are more for administration, which is the program that I did, combined with a master program, which I'll do another video to talk about that later. But just think about the different types of the time commitment that you're able to give this first year. If that's what you truly want, just do PGY1. And you can always do the first year and then wait and see and assess throughout that year and see if you want to pursue on PGY2. There are some sites that actually want you to commit earlier for their PGY2 residency. So you may have to weight that in, but overall PGY1 and PGY2, you still need to look at how much time you're able to commit and can you give it your all. And if you can't give it your all, how much can you give and how much stress? Because I would always caution on the side of this will take a lot of, it's 99.9% of your life when you're doing a PGY1 or PGY2, because there are a lot of demands on you, and I think you have to be able to prioritize. And that takes me to number 3 in terms of the third factor you want to take into account is the financial cost. When you finish pharmacy school, you are a pharmacist. So if you pursue a community pharmacy or go to the hospital route, you're making 5 figures up to 6 figures salary when you are upward of $90,000 at least, right? It depends on where you go and which state you're at or which city or how far you're away from the city, but at least $90,000 as a pharmacist when you're fresh out of school. Even more, I'm just being conservative. As a resident, pharmacy resident, it kind of varies across the state and the whole nation in terms of how much you earn, but you're pretty much in the ballpark of about 50,000 range. It could be in upper 50s or in the lower end of 50s, but you're basically making almost half of what you would make as a pharmacist. So think about that as a financial implication and how that will impact you, your family, and are you able to go through another year with, at least you're not on the net negative where you're in pharmacy school and pay all the loans, but you are also considering the loans that you already have from pharmacy school or from undergrad. So those are some things that you have to sit down and reflect if this is a true step for you. It is only 1 year if you pursue PGY1, or it'd be a 2 year if it's a PGY2. Good thing is that in the PGY2 year, you earn a little bit more, but not that much more as a resident. So some of those are some things you need to consider. Especially when you have a family, really sit down with your partner and consider the finance in your family, and if this is something that you can pursue to go forward. And lastly, I would say it's my 4th category that I think you guys need to consider when pursuing a residency or not is how flexible are you? Meaning, are you able to go out of state, out of the city to pursue those residency? Your chance will be exponentially increased if you are flexible in terms of moving. You will be able to find more options out there and more residency sites and be able to apply to more residency places that you may be able to match. In my case, I had to take care of my parents, so I was pretty much landlocked to Houston, Texas. Even though Houston, Texas has a pretty big medical centers and various residency programs, that still kind of put me on a higher risk not being matched. So the more you're willing to go, or the farther you're willing to go, the better it is for your chance. However, if you end up not being able to move or migrate to other areas for the residency, really increase your opportunity to network in the area that you want to go back or stay. If you are currently locally here in Houston, Texas, there are many wonderful opportunities that you can go and meet up and network with residency directors, coordinator, the residents. There are many clinical pharmacists or pharmacists in general to help you understand and just kind of get your foot in the door and get some face-to-face interaction. Because in the end, when as a PGY2 admin resident in the past, when I review candidates, I often remember those that take the extra approach or extra step to come and introduce themselves and repeatedly through several events, either social events or volunteer events, come and say, hey, my name is XYZ, I'm interested in your program, can you tell me about a bit more? And every time, he or she would come, I would remember his or her name more. And so when I see their application, and if they are literally two candidates, one that I know well, one that I don't know at all, but they have the same qualifications, of course I tend to be more favorable in terms of at least give them an interview for the one that because they show the initiative and the teamwork and the willing to go out there and show the proactiveness. There are many, I'll do another video on how to network and how to really build your relationships with the people that you want in terms of getting a residency and building that face-to-face interaction. But the biggest thing is think about the flexibility you're able to move or not, and if you're not, what can you do right now where you're at to really be able to have more of those face time. So to recap, our top 4 factors that I felt is the greatest in terms of determining if you should pursue a pharmacy residency or not is 1, your career goals. What do you want to do at the end of your residency? And is there a job right now that is available to you right out of pharmacy school that you feel that you're passionate towards? And if that's the case, then residency you may not need to do. 2, time commitment. Do you have another year or 2 years to commit wholeheartedly to the program? And you might have some sweat, tears, and joy all in between, because it will take a lot of work initially, especially that first year going from a student to a resident. You do have to put in a lot of hours. It could be upward of 50, 60 hours a week depending on your time management skills. So keep that in mind. 3, financial implications. So do you have the fiscal responsibility to be able to take another year or 2 years at half the salary of a pharmacist and pursuing your passion and later on to really get a job that you dream about? And 4 is the flexibility in terms of able to move or move to other locations, or you have to stay here geographically. So all those 4 are really important in terms of what you should do when you decide to do a residency or not. And of course, on the 4th factor, you really want to touch base that, depending where you are there residency programs that you're interested in? PGY1 tends to be easier because they're more general, but PGY2 is a little bit harder because they're more specialized, and not all sites have a PGY2 program. I hope that was helpful, and if there's any questions you have, please feel free to write the comment below. The question I have for you guys is, for those that already, did a residency or currently doing a residency, do you think a residency was worth it for you? And then for those who are considering, what are some factors that will help you to move forward, or what are some factors that stop you from doing it, or kind of delaying you or hindering you from doing it or being on the fence? So feel free to get the comments below, and I look forward to your response. Again, please share and with your colleagues this video if you find this helpful, and feel free to also drop a comment on any other videos that you would like me to or topics you would like me to cover. Thank you. Have a great one.